Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to click like and subscribe down at the bottom to get this video out to the world. My name is Azzy, and it is time for another installment of Am I the Jerk? What Am I the Jerk is basically where I read Am I the A-hole stories from the internet and give you my blind reactions. How that works is I find a title that interests me, I open it up, I take screenshots, and then I film my reaction for the very first time to it. So it is completely unscripted and is just my opinion. Let's get into it. The title of this one is Am I the Jerk for Bringing an Uninvited Guest to a Destination Wedding? Straight off the title, yes. Yes, you are. Because destination weddings are not cheap unless you are paying for that person to come. And even then, I don't know this person, I didn't invite him. So yeah, you are a jerk, 100%. I don't know this person. Unless the only way that you are not going to be the jerk for this is if there is a +1 on the invitation where you can bring yourself and a date, but you are paying for that date to come. Most of the time, destination weddings, the bride and groom or whoever is paying for the wedding, whether that's the bride's father or not, or if they're splitting costs or not, you're paying, like, the bride and groom are the ones that are paying for the party to get to the destination, or at least that's how I envision it and how I would do it for my own destination wedding if I ever win the lottery and have a destination wedding ceremony. Whether that is in the cards, who knows, but that's what I would do for a destination wedding personally. But yeah, you are the jerk. I don't. Destination weddings are not cheap. They're expensive. They're really, really expensive. Let's get into it. I, 26 female, was invited to a wedding within my state, but far enough that to attend, I'd have to sleep over at a hotel for at least 2 nights. If I arrived the night before, as it was planned to be a pretty much all day affair. Okay, so it's not as far of a destination as I was thinking. I was thinking that it was in like Hawaii or abroad, overseas somewhere. I personally have the dream to have a destination wedding ceremony, not necessarily the wedding, but just kind of like the ceremony for all the family, in Germany, because I do have family in Germany. But that means me and my fiance would be having two ceremonies because I don't expect his family to go to Germany to fulfill my dream of being able to have my family that's in Germany and still attend my wedding. I have aunts and uncles that live in Germany still that I've seen a couple of times when I was growing up because, traveling abroad is expensive. Um, my grandmother used to go to Germany to visit her sister all the time. I would love for them to see me get married, but I also know that's not always possible. So it's not as far as a destination wedding as I was thinking in my head, but it's still a destination wedding. You still had to pay for the hotel. Is there a +1 on this invitation? Because that's kind of the only way that it would save you in my mind. I was very flattered to be invited as I didn't think I was that close to the couple. It was a fairly small wedding, about 60 guests, including the bridal party. Obviously, as it was very small and I was possibly a second round invite, I didn't get a +1. Fine with me. Okay, then you should just come all by yourself. If there's no +1 for you, then that person was not invited. I don't know that person, or if I do know that person, I may not want that person at my wedding. So no, don't bring him. Stay home. If you can't live without that person for 2 days, stay home. Stay away from my ceremony. I ultimately decided to go. When I went to book the hotel for my stay, I found they only had large rooms available, multiple beds or king beds, etc. as it's a popular wedding destination and is a bit fancy. So I thought, why not invite my boyfriend, 26 male? Because he wasn't invited to the wedding and you don't have a +1. Therefore, you don't get a date. That's so disrespectful, so rude. That's an extra mouth to feed at a freaking reception that they may not have been planning for. Like, you don't know what goes all into making that reception a thing for them. Did they find a caterer that charges by the plate, by the person that they're feeding? You don't know, but you're being the jerk to bring an extra person because it's a bit of a fancy hotel and they have large beds, or they have large rooms with multiple beds. That's not your call to make. That way we could trade off on the long drive there and back and share the big room I would have to pay for anyways. The idea was that night we arrived, we could get dinner together somewhere new and have a nice breakfast before heading back home. While I was at the wedding events, he could just hang out in the hotel room or the pool or whatever. Okay, I'm kind of changing my mind. It doesn't sound like he actually went to the wedding reception or the actual wedding. So I'm kind of changing my mind about this. It's not, I don't feel like you're being the jerk because I don't feel like he, at this point in the story, ever went to the actual wedding. So therefore, you just decided to turn this wedding into kind of like a vacation for you and him. He stayed at the hotel, you all went out to eat and had a good breakfast, and then came back home. It sounds like a weekend getaway. So I'm kind of changing my mind. I'm kind of thinking you're not the jerk. This is why you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Because I judged this story by the title, and at first I was totally against you. Now I'm kind of changing my mind because it's not sounding like how I thought it would sound. The wedding was great, but then after it wrapped up, the maid of honor, who I'm closer to than the bride, was chatting with me as I walked back to my room, and I knocked on the door instead of digging through my bag for the key card, which is because there's somebody in your hotel room that can let you in who obviously didn't go to the wedding or the reception or anything wedding related. So, where's the problem? When my boyfriend opened the door for me, the maid of honor just greeted him and walked off. I didn't think it was a big deal or anything. I don't see where it's a big deal or anything. Honestly, now that I know the rest of the story and not judging a book by its cover, or in this case, a story by its title. You turned it into a weekend getaway to share. I mean, you paid for the room, it sounds like. It doesn't sound like you asked your boyfriend to pay for the room. Maybe ask him pay for dinner, or maybe ask him pay for breakfast, or maybe y'all split that. Who knows? But at the end of the day, he didn't come to the wedding. He shared the hotel room with you, which you paid for, and shared the driving responsibilities there and back. So you didn't get into a car accident because you fell asleep because you were tired. I don't know where you're in the wrong for this. A few days later, the maid of honor reached out and said it was awkward and uncomfortable for me to have invited him to the hotel and made everyone feel bad and weird that he was there waiting for the wedding to end when they hadn't invited him. Okay, so they are feeling some type of way because they didn't invite him, you did, and because he wasn't invited to the actual wedding, you had him stay in the hotel. We were both a bit surprised no one even knew he was there because he didn't come up at all during the wedding. It definitely wasn't a secret, and honestly, we wouldn't have thought it was a big deal if people did know. Because it's not a big deal. You didn't violate your invitation because he never came to the wedding. You didn't technically bring a +1 to the wedding. You brought a +1 to the hotel where the wedding happened to be taking place. It's not a big deal. He didn't crash the wedding by showing up uninvited. He didn't do anything disrespectful. He stayed in the hotel room and waited for you, or he stayed in like the pool area, or he, he's a grown up. He went wherever he wanted to go in the hotel, but he didn't come to the actual wedding. So it's not a big deal. Who cares that you decided to turn this wedding invitation into a weekend getaway for you and your boyfriend for a hotel room that you paid for, and you went out to dinner and you guys went out to breakfast and shared driving responsibilities? Who cares? It's not a big deal. They're just making it into a big deal. And he had only met the bride and groom like 6 times and had zero issues with not being invited to such an intimate wedding. Also, if it happened, also, if it matters, excuse me, I was far from the only guest who didn't get a +1, and I never asked to be given a +1 for him. So I'm still failing to see where the problem is and where they have an issue, because he never went to the actual wedding. I keep repeating that, and I don't see the big deal in it at all. 100%. I don't see the big deal. I have no clue if the maid of honor told the bride, and if the bride also thinks this was inappropriate. If she hasn't, I really don't want her to contact her during her honeymoon to start drama. She probably will anyway, because maid of honor sounds like a drama starter, in my opinion. And any opportunity that they can cause the most drama possible, they're going to. I didn't check or anything beforehand. That's my bad, I guess. So was inviting him a really big deal? No, it wasn't. And therefore you are not the jerk, because it wasn't a big deal. You turned it into a weekend getaway for you and your boyfriend. A nice dinner at some place new where you've never eaten before is exciting. And I would love to do that with my fiance. Unfortunately, we have 3 children at home, so getting away for the weekend is not really an option for us until our oldest child gets a little bit older and can handle such a long babysitting job. We've only had her babysit one time overnight, and that's because she's 14 years old and we weren't that far away. I was in the hospital after having surgery, and my fiance came and kept me company, missed the bus back home because our car's broken down, missed the bus back home, and ended up just staying. But he went on the first bus to go back home and check on them, and they didn't even know he left. They also didn't even know that he didn't even come home, because they ended up falling asleep. So everything was good. No problems. My daughters both have cell phones, and if there was any issue, he could have gotten a lift over there. But there was no issues. So weekend getaway is not too far away from the picture, but still not something we're comfortable with doing at the time, but it was something that I would love to do. So the fact that you got to do it with your fiance, and it just happened to be because you got invited to a wedding, to a place that you've never eaten before, you don't eat out regularly, and you got to stay in a fancy hotel. I mean, you had said it was fancy. Doesn't mean anything. The maid of honor is just a drama starter, it sounds like, and wants to make you feel bad for no reason because you went on a romantic getaway. Who cares? It's a wedding. People hook up at weddings all the time. So is it a really big deal that you didn't hook up at the wedding? You just brought your boyfriend with you? Is it that big of a deal? Maybe she's jealous because she didn't think of that. And it's a good idea, honestly. I would do it if it was a quick little drive and I was like, man, I know I'm going to be exhausted after this drive. Can you come with me and share the driving responsibilities? I'll pay for the hotel room and we can go out and get something to eat. And I would definitely do that. It's not a big deal. You're not the jerk. But they're going to see a problem where they want to see a problem. And the maid of honor decided to take it upon herself to see a problem. I don't think it was that big of a deal, and I don't think it was a problem. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe to get this channel out there, to bring videos like this to more viewers. I'm going to be adding more stuff to my channel hopefully soon. I'm going to be doing real number budgeting, where I'm using my real numbers from my regular job, and if I get monetized through YouTube, great. If not, it's just a fun little thing to do and kill time and make videos, post them, to kill time while I'm waiting for my school to open, because I still have 50 minutes before they open. So it was just a fun little thing for me to do.